Angelique van der Luitgaarden regrets not having been able to come to present this communication and apologies. I'm going to talk to you about the study case of Moissac. It's a town located on the Tyne River, about 5 kilometers before its confluence with the Garonne in southwest of France. Around the 9th and the 10th century, the Abbaye Saint-Pierre established itself at the intersection of both the large floodplain of the town and Moissac hills, incised by small rivers such as the Borderie. Downward of the Abbaye was identified a wetland area, the extension of which isn't fully known. The town itself wasn't in place before the 12th century. The work of Bastien Lefebvre from Toulouse University has shown evidence of anthropization of the area dating back to the High Middle Ages or even antiquity. However, this evidence can be considered as markers of urbanization not until the mid-12th century. We know very little about the first states of the town and its formation. Most of the excavation and academic studies that were carried out in Moissac focused on the Abbaye, and not on the town development. Toulouse University researches and several preventive archaeological operations allowed to shift from this assessment and document a small part of the early stages of the town. This presentation is the result of 2 studies carried out in Moissac and exploring different questions around water and its impact on urban organization. First, a geomorphological study was conducted as part of a preventive archaeological operation at 18 rue de la République. And second, my colleague defended in 2020 a master's thesis on water supply and water drinkability in medieval and modern Moissac. Although these studies may seem to have little to do with each other, in reality they allowed us to expand our horizon and question new aspects of the urban management. The urban management of its water resources. So first, in 2013, the archaeological operation directed by Patrice Georges at 18 rue de la République, not far south from the Abbaye, allowed geomorphological observations in order to characterize how the backswamp worked, its evolution, and the context in which the town developed itself. Hydrophilic plants, blue plastic clay, as we see here, and hydromorphic facies at the bottom of the stratigraphy were identified as characteristic wetland sediments. The dig's window of observation being quite limited, a larger study was carried out based on previous archaeological and geomorphological studies, geotechnical surveys, as well as an analysis of fluvial formations through a DTM with 1 meter precision. Several stratigraphic profiles and a map was created with this data, allowing to correlate the different sedimentary levels all around Moissac and offering a precise and general overview of the sedimentary evolution. Here, the sedimentary levels in brown correspond either a debris fan or a Moissac mudslide, thus creating a relief like a terrace, and then a backswamp. This backswamp, in blue here, doesn't seem to originate from a paleo channel. Here, the partial backswamp area deduced from Doris stratigraphy. The DGM study showed that the extension of the back swamp may be limited from the southwest, here, and on the east, by embankments created by paleochannels of the town. The hypothesis is that the town's paleomeanders came to cut the debris fan, creating impermeable embankments that contained the back swamp. As throughout the back swamp world, it seems it wouldn't be draining the alluvial aquifer, but rather the residue river come from the Moissac hills. Second, the master's thesis defended in 2020 was a conjoint analysis of archaeological, textual, and hydrogeological sources. The goal was to try and understand how Moissac's population and its institution were able to sustain a lasting and functional water supply from the first medieval installations to the end of the modern era. Unfortunately, due to dating problems and lack of textual sources, it was only possible to date back to the 15th century. By this time, the town was supplied by two public fountains, here, and a public well outside the city wall, here. 3 public wells within the city, and around 20 to 30 private wells with no information on their distribution. The abbey was supplied by a fountain, which was itself supplied by the outside well named Saint-Michel. This well was both public and private. The management of this outside-inside situation that may seem a bit peculiar is explained to us by the study of a lawsuit from 1458. This lawsuit set the town council against the abbey upon the problem of drinkable shortage. Following the 100 Years' War, Moissac's surroundings were largely damaged, including the well and the fountains. The abbey was still supplied because even though the top of the well was partly destroyed, the bottom linked to its network kept on working. The town council decided to build a public fountain inside the city that would be supplied by the Saint-Michel well. Then they decided to kind of hijack the abbey's water network to build their own, resulting a lawsuit. Apart from setting the political background, this lawsuit explains that even though the population had access to wells, public and private, inside the city, this water was not drinkable. The drinkable water came from the Saint-Michel well and the fountains that drained the morass. This pattern, described by the lawsuit, with use of both drinkable and non-drinkable water, is consistent with the hydrogeological context. The town is located at the intersection of the town floodplain and the Moissac hills. The morass, with its unstable facies alternating between sands with very little clay, sandstone, small karstified limestone, allows to both drain and stock variable amounts of water depending on the rainfall. The aquifer supplying the wells inside the city is harder to characterize. The proximity to the river and the floodplain can indicate that the alluvial aquifer is being used. But we can also argue that considering the paleochannels embankments separating the debris fan from the floodplain, the remains on the back swamp should be examined as a potential source of water for the town, and that hypothesis raises interesting questions. Because even though we don't have information about the early organization around water supply, the need for water, drinkable water, is a constant. The backswamp drained the Moissac aquifers through the residue, and thanks to its auto-purification capacities, its water should have been a potential source of drinkable water, at least up to the 12th century. The backswamp's disappearance is clearly the result of a progressive urbanization. It's still difficult to say how exactly Moissac's population managed to clean up, to fill the backswamp in order to build accommodations, and too few operations have been carried out to confirm any hypothesis. But its disappearance doesn't mean the water went away. To this day, archaeological operations still experience water upwellings on almost every day. In that regard, it appears the urbanization could have participated in the pollution of the underground water drained by the ancient backswamp. The result being that by the 15th century, it was no longer drinkable, as an assumption that completely changes our understanding of water management in medieval Moissac. This is still a work in progress. We are still working on the ramifications of the backswamp's transformations and its implications in the town water supply. But what this double-sided study shows is that we have a tenuous grasp, at least in southwest of France, of the interaction between humans and their environment in an urban context. The recent development of geoarchaeology provides new perspectives in the field, which are enthusiastic, especially considering the sedimentary disruptions we know in an urban archaeological context. The confrontation of sources, especially textual ones, was also a key approach to understanding the complexity of these interactions. This is the part of the Angelique van der Luitgaarden's PhD work. Thank you for bearing with me and my explanation.